I was standing at the grill flipping burgers for Sarah's family barbecue when I heard her laugh echo across the backyard. I glanced over and saw her filming something on her phone, pointing it right at me. I smiled and waved, thinking it was just another harmless video. But 10 minutes later, when I checked my notifications, my stomach dropped. The caption read, "My practice husband doing his thing at the family barbecue." Practice husband. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. In my pocket was the ring I had been planning to give her that night. Before we dive into what happened next, let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop a comment below and let me know. If you have ever felt undervalued in a relationship, hit that like button, and please subscribe to this channel, because what happens next is going to show you exactly why self-respect matters more than anything else. Trust me, you will want to hear how this all played out. Sarah and I had been together for 3 years. We met through a mutual friend at a coffee shop in Portland on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. She was a marketing coordinator, vibrant and social, always connected to the latest trends on TikTok and Instagram. I worked as a software engineer, more comfortable behind a screen than in front of a camera. I rarely posted anything online, but I never minded that Sarah loved social media. It was her thing, her way of expressing herself. Where are you? Why did you leave? Please call me back. I do not understand what happened. But not a single apology. Not a single acknowledgement of what she had done. I did not reply. I set my phone down and went for a run. Over the next week, Sarah continued calling and texting every day. Her messages shifted from confused to angry. "You are being ridiculous. It was just a joke. You are way too sensitive." I read every message but did not respond. I believe she saw all those nights I stayed late at the office, all those weekends I worked instead of going hiking like I wanted, all those dreams I had put on hold. I thought she was saying thank you. I was such a fool. One evening, about 10 days before my birthday, I walked past Denise's laptop in the kitchen. She had left it open while she went upstairs. I was not snooping, I swear. The screen was just right there. I saw an email from a travel agency. It cost me 3 months of salary, but I did not care. I wanted it to be perfect. I asked her father for permission one Sunday afternoon when we were watching a football game together. He teared up and told me he would be honored to have me as a son-in-law. I planned everything down to the smallest detail. The barbecue would be relaxed and fun, and then later that evening, Sarah and I would take a walk by the lake. I would get down on one knee under the sunset and ask her to spend forever with me. That Saturday afternoon, the barbecue started at 2. About 20 people gathered in her parents' backyard. Family members, a few of her close friends, people I had gotten to know over the years. I volunteered to handle the grill because I knew it mattered to her dad. He had always been the grill master at family events, and I wanted to show him I could step up. I put on a navy blue polo shirt, khaki shorts, and the apron her mom had bought me last Christmas. It had Grill Sergeant printed across the front. I stood at the grill, flipping burgers and hot dogs, making sure everything was cooked just right. People kept coming up to compliment me. Her uncle said the burgers were the best he had ever tasted. Her mom squeezed my shoulder and said, "You are such a keeper, Jim." Her dad clapped me on the back and said, "I am glad Sarah found someone as solid as you." Every word made me feel more confident about what I was going to do later that night. The ring box sat heavy in my pocket, a constant reminder of the question I was going to ask. Sarah was sitting at the picnic table with her girlfriends. They were laughing, taking pictures, filming little clips for their social media. I did not pay much attention. I was focused on making sure the food turned out well. I glanced over a few times and saw her holding up her phone, but I assumed she was just capturing memories. I even smiled and waved when I thought she was taking a picture of me. Around 4 in the afternoon, I heard her laugh louder than usual. I looked over and saw her holding her phone up, aimed directly at me. Her friends were giggling, whispering to each other. I felt a little self-conscious, but I shrugged it off. Maybe they were just having fun. I turned back to the grill and focused on the last batch of burgers. 15 minutes later, I pulled out my phone to check a text from my buddy Marcus. That is when I saw the notification. Sarah tagged you in a video. I opened TikTok and there it was. A video of me standing at the grill in my apron flipping burgers looking completely ordinary. The caption made my blood run cold. My practice husband doing his thing at the family barbecue. Underneath were hashtags practice husband, test run not there yet, boyfriend vibes. I read the caption 3 times trying to make sense of it. Practice husband. The words felt like a slap across the face. I scrolled down to the comments. In just 10 minutes, there were already over 50. Her friends had jumped in immediately. Girl, he is giving test run vibes for real. Another one said, practice makes perfect, I guess. Someone else wrote, are you sure he is the final version, though? And Sarah had liked several of them. She even replied to one with a laughing emoji and, you guys are too much. I stood there, spatula in hand, staring at my phone. The noise around me faded into a dull hum. I felt like I was standing alone on an island, even though I was surrounded by people. I looked over at the picnic table. Sarah was still laughing with her friends. None of them were looking at me. None of them seemed to care how I might feel seeing that video. My hand tightened around the phone. I wanted to walk over there and ask her what she meant. I wanted to demand an explanation. But something stopped me. A quiet voice in my head told me that confronting her would not change anything. The damage was already done. I tried to tell myself I was overreacting. It is just social media, I thought. People say dumb things online all the time. But the word practice kept replaying in my mind. Practice meant temporary. Practice meant not good enough yet. Practice meant there was a possibility of something better coming along, someone who would be the real deal instead of just a test run. I thought about the last 3 years. I remembered the nights I stayed up late helping Sarah prepare presentations for work. I remembered the time she got the flu, and I took care of her for a week making soup and running to the pharmacy at midnight. I remembered canceling plans with my friends because she needed me to go to her cousin's wedding or her coworker's birthday party. I thought about all the little sacrifices I had made because I loved her and wanted to build a future with her. And this was how she saw me, as practice. I reached into my pocket and felt the small velvet box. I had been carrying it around all day waiting for the perfect moment. I had imagined getting down on one knee, opening the box and watching her face light up. I had imagined her saying yes. Imagined us calling our families to share the news. Imagined starting the next chapter of our lives together. But now, standing there with the smell of grilling meat in the air and the sound of laughter around me, I realized how foolish I had been. I could not stop myself from checking my phone again. The comments kept coming. 100, 200, 300. Each one felt like a tiny knife. I mean, he looks nice, but is he husband material, though, someone wrote. Another person commented, you deserve someone who gives you butterflies, not just comfort. One person said, practice round before the real deal, I get it. And Sarah kept engaging. She replied to a few more comments with laughing emojis. Not once did she defend me. None of them seemed to care how I might feel seeing that video. My hand tightened around the phone. I wanted to walk over there and ask her what she meant. I wanted to demand an explanation. But something stopped me. A quiet voice in my head told me that confronting her would not change anything. The damage was already done. I tried to tell myself I was overreacting. It is just social media, I thought. People say dumb things online all the time. Not once did she say, actually, he is amazing, and I am lucky to have him. I looked over at her again. One of her friends pointed in my direction and said something I could not hear. The whole group burst out laughing. My chest tightened. I did not know what they were saying, but I felt certain they were talking about me. They were probably reading the comments out loud, adding their own jokes, treating me like I was some kind of amusing topic of conversation. 1,000 shares. Thousands of people were seeing me as a practice run, a placeholder, someone not quite good enough. The humiliation settled deep in my chest. I felt exhausted, not from standing in the heat for 2.5 hours, but from the emotional weight of being treated like I did not matter. Sarah's dad walked over with a plate in his hand. Jim, these burgers are perfect. Come on, grab a plate and sit down with us. I looked toward the table where everyone was gathering to eat. Sarah was sitting there, phone still in her hand, still scrolling and smiling. I looked at the people around me, all of them enjoying the food I had cooked, chatting and laughing without a care in the world. None of them knew what was happening inside my head. None of them knew how deeply I had just been hurt. And then something inside me shifted. A clarity I had never felt before washed over me. If Sarah thought I was just practice, then I was done wasting my time. I was done being treated like an option. I turned off the grill. I took off the apron, folded it neatly, and set it on the table next to the grill. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out the ring box. I stood there for a moment holding the small red velvet box in my hand. Inside was a platinum ring with a 1-carat diamond, the ring I had spent 3 months saving for. I had pictured Sarah crying tears of joy when she saw it. 1,000 shares. Thousands of people were seeing me as a practice run, a placeholder, someone not quite good enough. The humiliation settled deep in my chest. I felt exhausted, not from standing in the heat for 2.5 hours, but from the emotional weight of being treated like I did not matter. Sarah's dad walked over with a plate in his hand. "Jim, these burgers are perfect. Come on, grab a plate and sit down with us." I looked toward the table where everyone was gathering to eat. Sarah's dad called after me. "Jim, where are you going? Come eat something." I turned back and met his eyes. "I am sorry, Mr. Anderson. I just remembered I have an emergency. I need to leave." He looked confused. "Is everything all right?" I forced one last smile. "Everything is fine. Thank you for having me." I glanced at Sarah one final time. She was still on her phone, still laughing with her friends. She had not even noticed I was leaving. I walked out the gate, got into my car, and drove away. I did not look back. As I drove through the quiet streets, I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. Sadness because 3 years had just ended in the most painful way imaginable. Relief because I had discovered the truth before it was too late. When I got back to my apartment, I turned off my phone. I did not want to see any calls or messages. I just wanted to be alone and process what had happened. That night, I did not sleep. I kept replaying the video in my head, hearing those words over and over. Practice husband. I wondered if I had overreacted. Maybe it was just a joke. Maybe I should have talked to her about it. But every time I thought about the comments, about the way she had laughed along with her friends, I knew I had done the right thing. The next morning, I turned my phone back on. There were 30 missed calls from Sarah, 50 text messages, all of them frantic. I kept replaying the video in my head, hearing those words over and over. Practice husband. I wondered if I had overreacted. Maybe it was just a joke. Maybe I should have talked to her about it. But every time I thought about the comments, about the way she had laughed along with her friends, I knew I had done the right thing. The next morning, I turned my phone back on. There were 30 missed calls from Sarah, 50 text messages, all of them frantic. I knew that if I engaged, I would get pulled back into the drama. I would end up explaining myself, defending my feelings, and probably forgiving her just to avoid conflict. But I was done with that pattern. Instead, I focused on myself. I started going to the gym every morning. I went for long runs through the park. I called up old friends I had neglected over the past 3 years. One of them, Marcus, invited me to go bowling on Friday night. I agreed. It was the first time in months that I had gone out and enjoyed myself, without worrying whether Sarah would find it boring or whether I was being attentive enough to her needs. Marcus asked about Sarah. I told him briefly what had happened. He shook his head in disbelief. "Man, that is really messed up. You deserve way better than that." Those words were simple, but they meant everything to me. I realized that over the past 3 years I had lost a part of myself. I had constantly adjusted my schedule to fit hers. I had worried endlessly about whether I was good enough, interesting enough, Instagram-worthy enough. I had tried so hard to be perfect so that she would have no reason to complain, and it still was not enough. In the second week, I deleted TikTok and Instagram from my phone. I did not want to see any more social media. I wanted to focus on real life. I threw myself into my work. I started reading books I had put aside. I began cooking meals I actually enjoyed, instead of only making things Sarah liked. I slept better. I felt lighter. The constant anxiety that had been hovering over me for months began to fade. I had not realized how much stress had come from trying to maintain that relationship. Now that it was gone, I could finally breathe. 3 weeks after the barbecue, I was working from home when my phone buzzed. It was a text from a number I did not recognize. "Hi, Jim. This is Emily, Sarah's sister." I knew Emily. We had met a few times at family gatherings. She had always been kind to me. Her message continued. "I know this is awkward, but I need to talk to you about Sarah." I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but curiosity got the better of me. I typed back. "What about her?" Emily responded quickly. "She is a complete mess, Jim. She cries every time someone brings up your name. She deleted the TikTok. She has been begging me to reach out to you." I read her words and felt nothing. No pity, no satisfaction, just a calm indifference. I replied, "I am sorry she is hurting, but that is not my problem anymore." Emily wrote back. "She knows she messed up. She wants to apologize. She wants you back. Can you please just talk to her?" I thought about it for a long time. I could say yes. I could give Sarah another chance. Maybe she really had learned her lesson. Maybe she genuinely regretted what she had done. But then I remembered standing at that grill, reading those comments, feeling like a joke in front of thousands of strangers. I remembered the way she had laughed with her friends instead of defending me. I remembered how it felt to realize that the person I wanted to marry saw me as nothing more than a practice round. I typed carefully. "Emily, I appreciate you reaching out, but I have moved on." What Sarah did was not just a joke. It showed me how she really sees me. I deserve someone who is proud to call me their partner, not someone who treats me like a temporary option. Please tell her I wish her well, but I am not coming back. I hit send and felt a wave of peace wash over me. It was the right decision. 6 months passed. I moved into a new apartment, a fresh start in a different part of town. At work, I got promoted to senior software engineer. I traveled to Colorado and Austin, 2 places I'd always wanted to visit but never had time for because Sarah preferred beach vacations. I joined a book club and a hiking group. I met new people and built genuine friendships. My life became quieter and simpler, but it also became more authentic. I did not have to pretend anymore. I did not have to perform for social media. I could just be myself. One Saturday afternoon, I was at the grocery store picking up ingredients for dinner when I ran into Sarah's mom. She saw me and her eyes filled with a sadness I had not expected. "Jim," she said softly. I smiled, a real smile this time. "Hi, Mrs. Anderson. How are you?" She stepped closer. "I am so sorry about what happened between you and Sarah." I nodded. "It is okay. Everything worked out the way it should have." She touched my arm gently. "Sarah talks about you all the time. She regrets everything." I took a deep breath. I hope she learns from it and treats the next person better. Mrs. Anderson looked at me with something like admiration. "You were always too good for her, Jim." I told her that. Her words caught me off guard. "Thank you for saying that." We chatted for a few more minutes, exchanged polite goodbyes, and went our separate ways. As I drove home, I reflected on that conversation. I did not feel angry or bitter. I just felt grateful that I had the courage to walk away. I thought about the ring, wondering where it was now. I had never gone back for it. It was an expensive lesson, but it was worth every penny. That ring taught me about self-respect and self-worth in a way nothing else could have. I learned that love is not just about feelings. Love is about respect. It is about how someone treats you in public and in private. But then I remembered standing at that grill, reading those comments, feeling like a joke in front of thousands of strangers. I remembered the way she had laughed with her friends instead of defending me. I remembered how it felt to realize that the person I wanted to marry saw me as nothing more than a practice round. I typed carefully. "Emily, I appreciate you reaching out, but I have moved on." What Sarah did was not just a joke. It showed me how she really sees me. But then I remembered standing at that grill, reading those comments, feeling like a joke in front of thousands of strangers. I remembered the way she had laughed with her friends instead of defending me. I remembered how it felt to realize that the person I wanted to marry saw me as nothing more than a practice round. I typed carefully. Emily, I appreciate you reaching out, but I have moved on. What Sarah did was not just a joke. It showed me how she really sees me. That person will never treat me like practice. If you are in a relationship where you feel undervalued or disrespected, I want you to hear this. Do not be afraid to walk away. You deserve someone who sees you as their first choice, not their practice round. Life is too short to waste on someone who does not appreciate you. And sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is knowing when to let go. Losing 3 years was painful. But losing a whole lifetime with the wrong person would have been far worse. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between your self-respect and a relationship? Drop a comment below and share your story. If this resonated with you, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, because I share real stories about real-life lessons. And please share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we are worth more than we think. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you find the courage to choose yourself when you need to. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember you deserve to be someone's forever, not their maybe.